Hey there, hope all is well. Been a minute since I've done a quick take, and this video here was inspired by some information that apparently is no longer available in my news feed for me to even share it with you. And so once again, I want to start off before I dive deeper into share my thoughts on what's going on and how this globally systemically important distraction that's underway, how my personal opinion, it all plays into what they would like for or I'll say the powers that be, would like to use as a control mechanism to enter us into this reboot of our monetary system. But before I dive further into that, this video was inspired by a conversation that Larry Summers, former U.S. Treasury Secretary, had with, I think it was on Bloomberg. And so he was talking about the certain health situation we're experiencing. I have to be careful with the words I use because it automatically YouTube filters them out, and definitely you won't be able to see this video if that's the case. And so Larry Summers was talking about the risk that's at play with this current event underway in regards to our health situation that's spurred by our the developments out in the Eastern Hemisphere.
No one knows, but I think the risks are very large. Experience suggests that major pandemic events are events that take place somewhere between once every half century and once every century. The fact that this one has gone so far has to mean there's a substantial chance that it's the one for this half century or this century. And the events that take place that infrequently, the worst of them, kill a number of millions of people, and quite possibly as many as 10 million people, and they disrupt commerce and transportation and the ordinary doing of business, not for weeks, but for many months, or even a period approaching a year.
And so I have to somewhat speak in code these days if I want to actually try to get the message out there, because once again, YouTube is doing a very good job of making sure that certain people are not able to share their thoughts. But this video is entitled The Globally Systemic Important Distraction. And the reason I say it's a distraction is because if you look at the prior events leading to this current point, I've been talking about this for several months now, and it has to do with the fact that the ultimate goal for the powers that be, whatever you want to give them name-wise, is to control the mainstream narrative, as well as to be able to usher in the changes in our monetary system that they want at their pace. But it looks like things might be getting out of control. And so from the very inception of this current president here, there's always been some type of distraction. And so ultimate goal is to keep as many people distracted with all types of things other than focusing on what's really the most important, which happens to be the chaos in the economic realm as well as in the political realm. And so just from this past week, having a chance to speak with a lot of smart people that's been in these markets for a much longer time than myself, and to basically get a viewpoint as to what the overall consensus is. And it's that the economy, as we're witnessing in its current fashion, it has imploded. And now it's a matter of keeping things together and to artificially prop up even more. And so two things I wanted to really touch on that leads to more of why I believe this globally systemic important distraction will be challenged heavily this week and in the weeks ahead. And it all has to do with keeping the narrative the same. I want to start off by basically saying this current economic chaos that's underway right now is a part of a deliberate attempt to, by the end of this year, for sure, if not this summer, begin ushering out the next alternative. And so we have all the central banks around the world talking about digital currencies that they're going to be rolling out this year, at the same time that I believe the mainstream narrative all along was to take us to war. And so I've mentioned before, and everyone knows that whenever there's changes needed in the current narrative, we always end up going into some global event that happens to be with war. And so this past January, when I mentioned about Iran having fired on our bases and things were actually hit, people were injured, not killed according to what we were told, we did not respond. And so outside of having the Russia gate, we had the impeachment inquiry that was just wrapped up, we got the situation in Iran, and all those other things, all distractions designed to keep our eyes off of what's most important. And is the most important thing, I believe, when it comes to what you should be concerned with, it's the current repo meltdown. The fact that the liquidity aspects of things have become very problematic, whether intentional or by mistake, who knows. But yet just the very monetary system itself, being a debt-based system, can't go on forever. And so I think we're witnessing why that is the case. And so typically you see the GSIDs, or globally systemic important, it's always followed by banks. And our entire monetary system is designed to keep the banking sector well propped up so that they can continue to do what they do. Once again, the central banks all around the world, their primary objective, outside of what they tell us and the mandates they've been given, is to make sure the banks are profitable. But now when interest rates are extremely low and there's no wiggle room for a response in the events of a official recession, there's time for a reboot. So right now, this is all about the reboot. So this globally systemically important distraction, which happens to be now, typically it's war. But that wasn't the case, because it looks like either President Trump didn't take the bait by responding to Iran, or perhaps President Trump is in on the fact that that's what the powers that be would want, and he decided not to do it, and it's downplayed now. We haven't heard nothing about Iran, or I haven't, but yet now, what's the primary subject matter we're hearing about? Another distraction. And it's not by coincidence. I knew that at the end of 2019, the start of 2020 was going to be something that we could never forget. And what's one of the things that will keep you from forgetting about all the other things around us? It happens to be your health. And so with this whole quarantine situation, the fact that I watched this past Friday a little health situation where we had doctors and people in the health department talking about no need to worry, everything is under control, and don't walk out, don't get masked, you're fine. And so I'm thinking, like, what better event that would help the narrative of this everything is great, everything is fine, until it's not, which happens to be the economy. And so President Trump is an active Twitter person, or his staff or whatever, on preaching the expansion. This expansion is the ultimate game plan, because once people realize there is no expansion, that everything is artificially propped up in nature, what will that impact? It will impact all markets. And so what better way to control the demolition of our monetary system other than a health scare? Because we're not currently in war, active war. And so the next best thing that will usher in this new monetary world order, as I like to call it, will be this health scare. And so this health scare, I can't even say the words, because if I do, just mentioning health, I'm assuming it might be, flagged or whatever. So and when it's flagged, that means it won't reach everybody for them to even watch it. And so I have to be careful with my words nowadays. So I might have to speak in code or use signs. But as I wrap this up, the globally systemic important distraction is underway. It's going to be used to reboot our monetary system, and it's going to be used to pinpoint and to blame this economic depression that's underway now, because the collapse that's occurring now, when they decide to stop propping the markets up and they let them fall intentionally, what better scapegoat would it be than there was a global event in the same fashion as wars have been used before? Now it's going to be that the economy has collapsed because of this health scare getting out of hand. We couldn't contain it. It was something beyond our control. We did the best we could. Now it's time to begin rebuilding and ushering in the new whatever, and it'll make it a lot easier, so that all the baby boomers, all the retirees is going to get robbed in this current decade. And so I also have a video coming, 5 reasons why you won't retire. I'm going to try to get it out this week, but it'll help point the blame towards something else that's outside the government's control, which is outside the central bank's control, because Jerome Powell is saying everything is fine. Trump says everything is fine, until it's not. And it's not going to be fine because of this certain health situation, which I believe that they will more than likely intentionally let it get out of hand in this country, the United States of America, because all the disaster can occur outside this country. But the moment it comes inside, which we happen to be the anchor of a global economy, and if it hits our economy here, it'll be a lot easier to sell it to the people that everything was fine until it wasn't. And it wasn't because of monetary policy. Even Christine Lagarde this past Friday was talking about how the bubbles they're experiencing in the ECB is not because of monetary policy. She can't take the blame for everything. But this whole distraction, this globally systemic important distraction, is going to be used as a way of bringing in the new monetary world order, and it's going to be the scapegoat for this current collapse that's underway right now as we speak. So once again, risk. The whole video I started off with Larry Summers, he was talking about the risk that the world face because of this event. He's one of the individuals amongst many others that don't mind speaking on the reality of the situations now, because they were a part of getting us to this point of where debt is just too much. There's no way of moving forward. So this event, unfortunately, it's going to cost a lot of lives, more than likely, but it's all meant to divert attention from the people who initially caused it. So my personal opinion that this is a planned event for this exact moment in time and space, and it's going to be the blame, along with Trump being able to use it as well, that everything was fine until it wasn't. So 10 minutes, more than enough. I wanted to share my thoughts real quick. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think I'm too far gone or right on track with what's going on about this current health scare being the globally systemic important distraction that the powers that be needs to usher in this new monetary world order? Curious to find out what you think, and if you find this important, which I know it is, make sure you share this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, like, and so that people can find out this information, because once again, the hosting service for this video here, as well as some other places I'm going to put it, they may not want the word to get out there. So if you don't actively share it with family and friends, they may not hear about it, but they're going to feel it definitely. So that's all for today. See you guys later. Peace.